in Fort Wayne. Well, the congressman calls you, you go meet with him. I don't know why Jim and I were opponents. Jim was big in the environmental movement in Bloomington. Okay, he wanted to meet with me. So we discussed things, and Jim, the comprehensive plans and zoning comes up. And he basically tells me the same thing the senator has told me. And he said, we're gonna use that to take private property rights. We're gonna use that to slowly squeeze the people to where they have no rights. That is correct. Where they lose their right, and according to Agenda 21. Now, where does the board of directors for Agenda 21, what do you reckon, where do you reckon for this part of the country they sit at? Bloomington, Indiana. Bloomington, Indiana, and IU University is the home of Agenda 21 for our whole part of the country. Okay, Monroe County is their little test unit. Okay, what they've done down there. And I want to address something on values. Okay, when I buy timber, I buy a tract of timber and I pay $1,000 for some trees, okay? The multiplier for that's 51 times. 51 times that money changes hands in a community before it loses its value. 51 times. How many timber companies do you think do business in Monroe County right now because of all the regulation? Very few. Very few. Very, very few. I maybe have bought 3 tracts of timber in 5 years, and I buy millions of feet a year. All right, so those people in Monroe County, they have a climactic forest. It's going to be a problem in Monroe County. The trees are getting bigger, they're getting older, and it's going to be a fire hazard. It's going to be a fire hazard, just like they have out west. Okay, but Monroe County squeezed out the timber people. You can't do business. You can't afford to do business there. The regulations are too tight.
If you're a landowner in Monroe County and have the same quality timber in Owen County, it's worth 40% less.
That's about right. That's about right.
40% less.
If you can find a buyer.
60%.
If you can find a buyer. If you can find a buyer. So what I'm saying is, you guys are going to have to come up with a comprehensive plan. That is a no-brainer. But I'm just asking you to understand where its founding fathers were. It's not American interest they're looking for. Okay? It's not the freedom of Americans they're looking after. It's the taking of America. It's like a comprehensive plan is like this. You have a community of 10 people in a little housing development. Well, one of the guys got a really nice lawnmower. Under the comprehensive socialist type plan, they all get together in that subdivision and say, we like his lawnmower and we want to use it, it's better than ours. We're gonna have a vote. We're gonna have a vote. Maybe some of those people are sitting in houses that aren't near worth as much as his. And then maybe his lawnmower is worth a lot more than theirs. They have a vote. 9 of those neighbors vote to use his lawnmower. Guess what? Under a comprehensive plan, basically, the rule of the masses outweigh the individual rights. Our republic is built on individual right. Individual rights. So I'm just telling y'all, tread lightly on this. You have to do this, yes, but tread lightly and keep the people in mind and keep their freedom in mind and their freedom of choice in mind, because it's very important. Their lives are in your hands. They really are. And you take 50, say if I spend way more than this, $1 million a year down here in Owen County. I spend way more than that. But that's $51 million a year circulating through this community. And I'm just one guy. Tri-State's here, this gentleman right here is here. There's a lot of people spending that money and more. That money's gonna dry out. If you guys make a wrong decision, that money's gonna go to Greene County, gonna go to some other county, because we can truck those logs. We can truck those logs. That money's gonna go somewhere else. And so I'm just asking you to tread lightly, because you guys carry a big stick. You don't know it, but you guys carry a big stick and a big responsibility with that. And I'm just asking you to just use wisdom, gentlemen, ladies, because that's what it's gonna take here. People aren't enemies in this room. Nobody's an enemy in this room. But we ought to all work together. We ought to all work together. And there's a lot more to it. I could say right now, and I would be happy to sit down with lunch with you and share a lot more stuff with you.
I'd appreciate that. So, can I, hang on just a second. If you would, the folks that are here, folks that have been here, pass the word. Suzanne, are you willing to get emails from them with their addresses in them so that we can get some of them letters out? Are we able to do that?
Is that the best way we can,
I mean, is that the best way? Yeah, that's a good question.
what's a good way to get you people on board? How do we contact you?
Best way is text.
Somebody, anybody?
Mail, phone call, anything other than Facebook. Text message,
Mailing?
road mail, text message.
US mail?
So-
Internet email, so.
I'll give my email address,
Everybody's phone.
my phone number.
Everybody has phone.
Now, there's about a third of the county over here that doesn't have internet service.
Well, like that.
Everybody gets letters. Everybody gets
You know what I mean? Not
letters.
So if you can get your mailing address to Suzanne, then maybe we can get some of this taken care of.
So you got a clipboard?
Because,
Do we need two?
like I said, more input's what we need. If it's partially done, more hands make light work, right? So,
Well, if we had known sooner, we would have.
right. And I get that. Unfortunately, I work in IT, so my thought process always goes to using that to make your point, and I keep forgetting we still are limited. So,
Well, it's not even limited. Again, I'm gonna say, a lot of people don't have internet and don't use it.
yeah.
There are a lot of older people who don't hear about
Name,
it.
address, and phone number.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I just need to address briefly, I know you feel strongly about this in the livery, but I gotta stand up for myself. I'm no communist stooge, I don't know anything about Century 21. I'm not here to take anybody's lawnmower. I'm aware of those, I'm aware of the concerns about that. But I know nothing about that. I've been to New York once, I saw the Lion King. I did not go to the United Nations to learn about this sort of thing. So I just want to stand up for the work that I've done, which has been in many rural communities as well, that the things you're talking about are also important to me as well, and that I also understand the liberty. The main, think about it from the other way. Think about somebody had some land, beautiful land, farming, whatever, and somebody next to it put a race car track, or a go-kart track, or a confined animal feeding operation. Or a quarry. Or some sort of thing like that. And what sort of rights and all would that person have? Again, a set of basic understandings in a general sort of way, and I heard what you said about how those might work, that's what I'm talking about.
She's the troublemaker that's kind of got this going.
So, let me get this guy right back here, because he had his hand.
Just a couple of things. I know Brandon, I have a rural preservation.
Hang on, somebody else is talking.
Excuse me.
There's a lot of energy and a lot of concern about the rural preservation. And you said you're gonna go back and take a look at that and make some changes.
Absolutely.
There is a database that has all of the landowners in Owen County in it. If you wanted to use that database to send out information, it's available. The third point is.
Is that the property assessor's office, or who is that?
I can't tell you.
Talking about GIS, right?
I get it to you. I get it to you. Soil and Water Conservation uses it to send information out for.
Names, addresses, and phone numbers if you'd like them to contact you if something like this happens.
The other point is, I came here to hear more about what this comprehensive plan is. And we've gotten off onto a lot of tangents. I'd like to get back and learn more about what it is.
I'd love to, again, I'm happy to do it, I'll stay here as long as you want. But a lot of questions have come up, and I just feel that I've got to address them.
I think you would avoid a lot of those questions. I think Bill had a really good point, that a lot of the wrong people.
That's just simply not true. I would not have avoided the questions.
No, I think you would have, if you would listen to what I'm gonna say, you would have avoided a lot of this, a lot of us would have known this before 2 days ago or 3 days ago. A lot of these people, like Bill said on that list, aren't these people sitting in this room who are the most concerned people. I don't see that, I saw the list of people, and I only see maybe 1 or 2 of those people on that list in this room right now. Those people that are on that list, where are they and why are they not sitting in here?
My question, how did they get on that list?
And that's another question, I had the same question as Bill, how did they get on that list? I know Norm, I think maybe his name was on it maybe, but I don't see any of those other people. One of them is the principal of my school, and I love the man dearly, but you don't know anything about farming in this county.
And he lives in Monroe County.
Commissioner, what would you like me to do next? I got, I don't know, maybe 20 more, 30, I've got individual summaries of the plan itself.
Well, I think a summary of the plan itself.
Well, the
is
individual
what-
chapters.
Right. So,
But I think you need more facts to make a summary from that you do not have in it. I think this is an incomplete thing. And I think you need to go back and get this thing completed and then come back.
Meetings that highlight on things better understood. We don't have enough stuff.
One thing you guys gotta remember is this draft plan has already been turned in over. So think about that just for a second. It's
Yes.
already been turned.
we've not voted it, we not voted to,
Ratified it.
and we have not ratified it yet.
Okay, I'm just telling you, it's already been turned in.
And until I get some input from the folks in this room, we're not going to, if I have anything to say about it. Because
And you do.
regardless of what people may think, I wanna know, I don't know all this information, there's no way I can know what your farm is, what your farm is, what your farm is, there's no way I can know that. You have to tell us. Go ahead.
I have a question on, like, on that planning and zoning map, how did that come about? I mean, is that from the prior?
Yes.
planning and zoning?
Well,
Because
that's where it started, yes.
a big part of our farm, and we farm roughly 2,000 acres. We own, I don't know, around 700. A big part of our farm and a big part of our land, one of our landlords' farm is zoned as a subdivision. And I know that, I don't know how that got there, because we didn't ask for it. We've owned our land since 1971. So, I'm not sure how that got that way. I do know that it also affects taxes, how your land's taxed. So I'm just kind of curious on how that got zoned
Well-
as a, subdivision.
I don't know the answer to that question. I can tell you that the starting point for the new map is the old map. So I don't know if that came over with it. I'd have to look back at both of them and see. Yeah,
There's, that's another thing too, when you recategorize land, it goes into different tax bases, okay?
Right.
An example, we have lands a lot of different places, and a lot of these counties have started trying to tax agriculture ground as residential because of their comprehensive. And the tax rate on residential for 100 acres is a whole lot different than it is for 100 acres of agriculture. So you have to understand on a comprehensive plan, you're setting the stage to increase people's taxes down the road considerably. And so, I mean, it's not a joke, when you have 500 acres or 700 acres, you're talking a lot, you're talking maybe a fourth of someone's livelihood. And that's something you have to understand there, there's the taxation part of this land which is reevaluated.
This is, I think it's 2 or 3. Okay.
so if you want to hit the highlights.
Well, my main thing is that nobody walks out here saying I didn't get a chance to say anything, and I'll stay till damn it midnight. If I start droning on about the individual chapters, I'm worried if people aren't listening in good faith, then it's just gonna keep.
Honestly, my feeling on it is, we're talking about a chapter that we may very well change after we have these meetings.
Yeah. I mean, but another greater point is, although I know concerned about more information, the main important thing is, will the goals actually change? For instance, if we also mention the school and something else, would the goal of promoting something or another actually change? I don't know that it would, but I've got 15 chapters, 1 slide each. I'll do what you want.
I don't think I'll get it out.
Yeah.
Folks, if I may, some will go ahead and have it.
No.
Folks,
Respect, hey, respect.
Hello?
Hold order.
if somebody can just tap it. Hey Dale, I'm gonna move on and let him finish, okay? I'm gonna let him go ahead and go through the rest of his slides. And then we'll,
All right, so these are the chapters. I've got what I want to do as quickly as I can, or I will stop and answer any question. If I don't see you, call out. I'm interested in your responses. I want to just briefly touch on each chapter and the development principle and a couple of goals in each one. Here we go. No, we already talked about this. We already talked about this. Right, we already talked about this. The priorities, we've actually already discussed. These are some of the priorities that came out of it from the surveys, roads and public safety. I think that's one of the things that we heard most about in the survey. Broadband and the importance of extending throughout the county. That was a goal. In fact, we heard a lot about that tonight. Infrastructure and property improvement. Again, a lot of people said that that was a major concern. Ordinance updates. Housing, again, almost 50% of Owen County residents said the lack of affordable housing is a threat to the county's future. And then budget and fiscal stability, recent deficits in the county budget, and other tax increases have people on edge, and the need for a more efficient government came out. So all those things came out clearly in the survey and the priorities of this plan. Some of the challenges to overcome is resistance to planning, resistance to change. That's come out. One argument I would make is that there's not much point saying you don't want Owen County to change, because Owen County is changing, right? Roads are deteriorating, or houses are being built, or houses are deteriorating, or parts of the county are getting developed, or traffic is increasing. There's no such thing as locking a county down and not having change. With that in mind, what do we want to do about that change? Keep going. We did the public survey. One point I want to make on public survey is the people recognized by pretty wide margins, either strongly agreed or agreed. You see at least 50%, sometimes up to 80%, on the needs for smart investment in infrastructure, in maybe bringing sewer, or maybe extending broadband, or those kinds of things. So it's pretty, or actually also, if you look at the last couple ones, the need for the county to address abandoned properties. Enforcement, yeah.
Okay. So I looked through this on your website and everything, and you said you had 500 people surveyed, 213 people viewed your website. Who did you reach out as a committee to survey?
We extended it, a survey was mentioned on, I think also, through the Owen County site, through the EE site, it was mentioned on, I think Victor's site mentioned it. Did it go out to everybody? No. Is 500 people enough? No. But I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to get it.
Well, you need to figure it out then. You're gonna have to figure it out, or else you're gonna have this every single time.
Well,
We have a mail system. I think that was part of what we came up with.
Mail, typically the return on mail systems are about 2 or 3%. Even according to what it got in the survey.
Yeah.
I think, 500 is better than 50. It's not as good as 5,000.
That comes out.
That's all I can really say about it. I can't make people fill out this survey.
We also didn't know about it. Well, I didn't know about the survey. I think.
Yes, sir.
I'm aware I didn't know about the survey, but going back to mailing stuff out, and you said only 2% respond. I've never in my life had a survey that was originated or generated from Owen County. So if I got that in the mail, I would answer it if it's directly involves what's going on in Owen County. So I think maybe on a national level or a state level even, it could be overlooked, but if you live in the county and you get a survey for something that involves your county, I think you're prone to answer it one.
And they have every door direct services to where you can, and you're just put it to every single person in the county if you wanted to. You have a postcard, you'll have, put your 10 questions on there. Postcard, send it to everybody.
It's like 25 cents.
That could be done.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
It's the government of the community.
Okay, next. Findings. Here's our working premise. Owen County is facing growth pressures in some areas as local and outside investors have decided that the community has development potential. Initial interest is in the Spencer area, but that town is hemmed in by topography and the river. As road, sewer, and broadband are improved in going out from Spencer, it increases the possibility of growth in other areas. And the community wants to act now to decide. Right now it's Spencer's problem, but it could be moving into our problem, and that's the basic thing I was told to cover. Community wants to act now to decide what to do. Two things. how to control growth, what we want to keep, what we want to change in areas that are changing, and then to protect the rural and agricultural landscape, like the 5 or 6 quotes from the report that I said earlier. Those are the 2 marching orders I got coming into this. Protect the rural and heritage, rural and agricultural heritage of the county, and help us get the tools we need to make sound decisions on Texas Pike or whatever. By the way, Texas Pike, we mentioned annexation. That's gonna be done even before I'm done here. I think the town's already moving to annex it. I talk about annexation in the thing, but there's nothing I can do, and there's nothing Compact can do either, to sort of stop that.
Because that area is zoned, right?
Well, it's in the county now, but under the current law, Spencer can annex it. And they're already doing that, no matter what my plan had to say. This would take political courage and fortitude and conversation. I'll add that to that. Next. Okay, chapter 5. Here's the main overarching thought for land use. Floodplains, steep topography, and other obstacles limit Owen County's potential for growth. It's time for us to take a careful look at the types of development we want and do not want. Once we decide that, what tools do we need or not need? That's it. That's the simple premise there. Some of the goals we have is look at the current ordinance to see if it's got the tools we want to stop things we don't want, to encourage things we do, preserve and protect agricultural lands, grow quality housing, and protect the county and property owners from undesirable non-conforming uses. The guy who has a great, beautiful property and a go-kart track or whatever goes in next door. Those are the goals of the land use plan. Anybody tells you different, that it's takeover or whatever, these are the goals of the plan. These are what you should insist happens on the ordinances. And by the way, I don't write the ordinances, somebody else does. I don't even do that. But these are the things that should be demanded from your new set of ordinances if you go in that direction. Here's the land use map we talked about. Keep going. We also talked about some growth areas. You'll know this one over at the Owen Camp area, but I'm guessing that will be grabbed by Spencer too. I'm guessing. We can keep going. Here's the Texas My Path area, the one we just talked about. Keep going. And I talked a little bit about Cataract and Cunard. Right now, these areas have potential, different types of potential, but there's not a whole lot of activity going on up there right now. Keep going. Well, there's a lot of positive activity going on in these.
How do you know what's going on up there?
I've got an earful of it since I've been here. We have a thing on government and fiscal capacity. Trust in government is crucial to protecting lives and livelihoods, and distrust can be expensive. With this in mind, the county should build and maintain the drivers of public governance, reliability, responsiveness, openness, integrity, and fairness. That's the basic component, yeah.
So this is the planning board. We had 2 commissioners here. They made no choice that I'm aware of in any of these people in this planning committee. Yet it's us that have to deal with this. Why? Who chose these people? And why wasn't there input from government other than the president of the commission, president of the BZA? That's the only government people. And again,
Well, Gary Burton.
president.
Commissioner.
Yeah, President Commissioner.
But I'm saying, the rest of these people, who put them there?
Didn't it say the report the Chamber of Commerce chose it?
Say that here.
I think that it was the Economic Development Corporation, if I remember right, about 60 or 70 people were approached to be on this. But guess what? Hey, there's a year-long thing, monthly meetings, 170-page document. Where can we sign you up? And we had trouble attracting people.
Sir, I sat on the EDC meeting and there's never been any discussion at the meeting that I was at.
Bill, so to answer the question, okay? It was part of our responsibility to pick people for the steering committee.
Say that again?
It was partially my responsibility to pick people for the steering committee, okay? Now, a lot of times I go to meetings, and it's the same 10 people at those meetings. And they have to go to those meetings over and over and over again, and every time they go, it's the same 10 people. Something that Owen County needs are new leaders. So if you do look at the steering committee, and I will fully tell you, I reached out to about 60 people. And I did reach out to farmers, and I really tried to reach out to people from every single region of Owen County. In fact, in 2019, when the Bicentennial Committee was formed to put on bicentennial celebrations, we had ambassadors from each section of Owen County so that each part of Owen County could be represented and celebrated. So I reached back out to those people. I reached out to township trustees. I could not get people to commit, and they've been doing this for over a year, to volunteering their time for a process that's over a year and a half, okay? So if you do look at the steering committee, yes, I definitely could have done better. I'll admit to that, okay? But there are some young people on there. They're just out of college. There are senior citizens on there. I tried to reach every age demographic because I didn't want it to just be coming from one area. I did reach out to different regions within Owen County. It may not be a perfect steering committee, but every time the steering committee has met, the meeting has been open to the entire county, welcoming anyone's participation.
Nobody knows about them. That's the problem.
Nobody
And that
knows
is
about
a
it.
problem that we have in Owen County. We have no way of getting information out to our entire county. We don't have paper, people aren't on Facebook. I mean, I will, whether you want to believe me or not, I think I tried to do everything except for, put a sandwich board around me with a megaphone and walk around the courthouse yelling when these meetings were. And I understand that information still didn't get out, but that's not a comprehensive plan problem. That is a countywide problem with any information.
So we have an
We need a
an
solution.
engineer from Boston, a school principal who doesn't live here.
School system, I think the school system
Then
should
get
definitely
someone
be
who lives in the
represented.
county. There are more people live in this county besides Matt Cassell that works for the school system. Get someone who has to face people every day. You know how many times I was interrupted today eating lunch because of this? I mean, these people need to
No,
be out
I
here
got
to see them.
lunch, I didn't even get lunch today.
And then I look here, there's President of Home Bank Corp, which is sold out. They're out of business. They sold out to Crane. We have,
Mr. Rosenberger is a financial analyst who has been in banking for many years, has worked for this community.
I don't think there's
He has done
anybody
a
on
very
this list who
intelligent
owns
job.
more than 30 acres.
Again, Bill, I agree with you, I probably could have had some other people on there, but I do stand by the people that are on there, they all care about Owen County. In fact, I'll tell you one
And to have the
person,
guy that's in charge of my path
Kristen Porteous, okay, she's on that steering committee. You
and
know,
lives in town, already under zoning and rules.
she has 2 children, she works for the school system, she cares about the community. She
She's already
volunteers
under a
her time
different set of
multiple
rules than
times.
what we're dealing
She
with.
has character and integrity.
But what I'm saying is, we're gonna set this plan and have a set of rules, and these people don't have to abide by them because they're inside the city limits, or inside the gospel, or they live in another county.
Right.
They should not be making those decisions.
Well, I think we have an entire full list of people who will be attending the next meeting. Probably have good
Well,
representation.
But I'm saying, most of the facts in here are incomplete.
And that has nothing to do with the steering committee.
Well,
It has everything to do
Where
with
do
this
you get
is
that
a
information?
plan and process.
You know, we look at how many people drive in to Cook. I drive through the parking lot. There's Marion County cars, there's Hendricks County cars. Don't tell me that only Cook has, because they say 17 counties drive into these factories.
Well, Cook has places all over the place. I work at Cook, and we do have people from outside of the county that.
Well, but I'm saying,
92
not just the surrounding counties.
And I
If you're
agree.
gonna give facts, give the facts. That's all I'm saying. And again, we don't mention county employees, but we list the top 10 employers, and we goes down to 70 people, but there's 150 people work for the county government. And that doesn't count the people in EDC, the people in the Visitors Bureau, the Health Board, all the other quasi-government organizations.
Well, Bill, this is a really important part of the process. Getting this feedback
Well,
from you.
we
hearing.
were brought a finished product tonight.
No, that's not true. This is not a finished product. We are way still into the beginning of this. We're working on this.
Well, you wanted to ask you to include somebody from the forestry community that's in this county.
Absolutely.
Because it's probably the number one money, business in the county. It probably outweighs, maybe not Cook, but it would, if anybody besides Boston or Cook, it's the biggest business in the county.
Absolutely.
And I would like to see a farmer on there, because, I mean, that is, as you see the map, I mean, that is a big portion of Owen County, and I know you maybe asked,
The people that aren't gonna be able to get, huh?
I would have been willing to be on it, and I would have marked off a couple of things, but that's, I mean, I don't have to be the one, but I know there's several farming.
I think that's what I've been trying to say this whole night, and if I could just say it now, I lived in this community my whole life, my family's farmed in this family, most of my family members are here, I mean, they have more say in this fight than I do. But it's the fact of the matter, I didn't know about it, and I wasn't, I mean, that's just the fact of the matter is, a lot of us that I think we're sitting in this room, I think that's where the anger comes from tonight, and I'm speaking for myself, but it's because we didn't know about it. I get that there's a problem in the county, but it also has to be addressed somehow. And I mean, if you're wanting people to be on committees, and you want people to, then you're gonna have to figure out ways to get the, you know, my dad says he's on Facebook every day and he never sees surveys. And there was a comment made by a person who, you know, represents our county in a different way. And she says, well, I don't know how you guys didn't know about this, there were surveys and this and this and this. Well, a little unfair because I didn't see anything. I had nothing, I had no phone calls. Because she claimed that there was phone calls, there were surveys, there was mailings, there was emails. I had none of those things.
You know, I'm with the volunteer fire department of Cataract, right? And I hit the group chat asking if anybody was coming to this meeting tonight. No one had a clue about this meeting was even going on. You know, the whole fire department of Cataract. Not a single person had a clue this was going on. And we're a public service.
That's how I found out
You know?
about it. Clay Galloway called me up and said, hey, did you know this was going on?
Yeah.
I had a coworker from Cook who told me, so that's how I know.
I would like to just move, I'll make this a motion,
Okay,
that we table this until they get us a completed package to look at, and then we take that to the northern part of the county and have it where, not your pretty PowerPoint that you did out of McCormick's Creek, because that didn't show us all this stuff. We had the PowerPoint of what this was. That was nice and pretty, but it didn't tell us the meat of the thing. So I move we table this until we get more information and accurate information.
We're not taking a vote tonight anyway.
no, there's no vote tonight.
Well, no, but we can say.
Let's make it as a recommendation.
It needs to be completed because it's an incomplete document.
What Polly said, she suggested a farmer be on here, but I think what you're talking about, if you're talking so heavily involved with agriculture, I would suggest you have more than one farmer on the committee, and that, and as well, they're passionate about this and they're passionate about their land. But I would also suggest, I know some people said no to mailings, things like that, but honestly, the only way you're going to reach everyone is through mail. You know, people don't want mail, but it doesn't matter, like I said, a survey that's coming from the county level.
Make that available.
Then no one, it comes to every post office box. So if they don't read it and you choose to throw it in the trash,
Yeah.
it wasn't for lack of effort. You've made it into their home. From what they do with it, they can't say they weren't uninformed. So I think you really need to utilize the postage service to reach all of those families who don't have internet service or don't use Facebook. So they're still out there.
Again, I go back, the person representing the real estate industry moves to South Bend and has sold maybe 3 transactions in their life. Out of all the realtors in this county, we hire someone who's a newbie, and he attends one meeting and then moves.
Yeah.
Why wasn't there a real estate person?
I think Marcy's putting together a new list of people to be a part of her.
Homework should have been done before we started.
Yeah.
Legally,
Hey, real quickly, can I ask you what your timeline is? What's your drop dead date on when this next?
Sure, the contract runs, you know, in the fall, I'm thinking September or October.
Okay, so
I believe that's, you know,
Is that extendable?
Does someone want
well,
to second the motion to table this?
well, let me stop you right there. I mean, you're tabling a discussion of it? I mean, I understand, this is a draft.
there's no vote was supposed to be taken tonight anyway.
I understand that, but he's presenting something that doesn't have all the facts. And I bet if all the facts are there, some of the presentation might be a little different.
Well, but you don't know that till you see the presentation.
So I guess when will be the next presentation be, because we don't have much time, that August, September date is very close.
Why this couldn't have been at the county fair, at the EDC office booth, and they could have said, here's this thing, take this survey, look at this.
Yeah, you had a booth.
This is a.
They had a booth.
Try to get public input at the fair.
I suggest we move on.
Yeah.
Let's go through the presentation. Some of us need to understand what it is at this stage. There's obviously some concerns that, the committee needs to consider. Let's get on.
So, all right, I'm gonna do that. Now let's, again,
Let me interrupt here. I wanna look at slide that's on page 170, which is demographics.
I don't think so.
I don't have that on a slide.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
no, not in.
Demographics isn't on here?
No.
Okay,
No.
okay. Anyways, that demographics gives a chart of all the age groups. But what I don't understand, there's no number of people in those groups of a survey. Now, you supposedly had 500 participants in that survey, but I don't see any numbers behind these age groups, 9 to 24, 25 to 40, 41 to 56, which is the largest group. But what is that? Is there 20 people in that group? Is there 11?
Yeah, I can add those numbers. But basically, there are 20% or 26% of 500, but I can add the numbers. That's no problem.
Okay, that would be greatly appreciated. You know, you took a survey and came up with 500 people out of a county of 22,000, which is, I would say, really 10,000 people are your demographics that you got the 500 from.
Nobody would be happier if,
And that's generous.
10,000 people responded to the survey.
Well, I understand, but you only took 500.
No, well, I mean, it was open for 2 months, 2.5 months, something like
Well,
that.
I live on the other side of the Mason-Dixon line, which is everything north of 67. Like the fireman standing back there, I got a hold of his chief yesterday and told him about this meeting, and he said, I can't make that. Well, we got information that we can't give out because we don't get that information up north. And I don't care if you wear t-shirts running around inside this courthouse. It's not getting up our way.
Yeah, and well, in our area, the majority of the people don't even have phones, let alone the internet. And if you do have a phone, right, you don't have service, so therefore you're not gonna use it in the first place, right? So you're not really gonna care about it, We're not, the best way to do a survey anywhere north of here, right, is to send it in the mail.
When we've had people doing surveys and doing projects like this for us in the timber industry, a lot of times the company that we hired to do that was responsible for the mailings. They just were. They were responsible for getting the word out to all of our constituents, which is basically all of the United States from the Indiana Harbor Governments Association. But the people we had hired, they had to do the mailings and the contacts. That was part of what they did. So I don't know if that's a thing.
I think we definitely need to address it.
I just got a message from Sheila Reeves. It says, put someone on the board who has planning and zoning history, infrastructure knowledge, and local, state, and federal rules.
Did she send a name with it?
Sheila Reeves.
Oh, Sheila, you're saying,
Put somebody on,
I thought she
Are you
said.
willing to put Sheila Reeves on your steering committee?
She's, I
If
don't
she's
think
willing
she's
to-
offering, she's
How?
not offering.
A lot of people.
She's just saying you need to put somebody on there.
Need to put somebody on there. She's
That's
not
got
the
that
offer.
knowledge.
She's not offering to do it?
I don't know. I don't think she's offering.
I just sent a message and said, I
I
asked.
don't think she has the time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't think she has the time.
Because she doesn't have the time.
She's taxed right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if going forward with this
Yeah,
presentation is
that's
going
what I-
any place.
Jim,
I don't see
if I could, just legally, we weren't planning on taking a vote tonight anyway. Is there any kind of thing I need to read or go over to keep us legal?
Well, sure. you mind, I know you had a
Go ahead.
long minute.
No, go ahead.
I will not take long, but for those who don't know me, my name is Jim Bryan, the county attorney for Owen County. In addition to kind of working with commissioners, the council, work with the BZA, and then work with the redevelopment and also the planning commission. Tonight, there would be no vote for any reason of any kind. This was in essence, as far as an agenda and introduction of the plan. This is obviously, not that we silly, I'm just trying to say, this is your plan commission. Plan commission is totally controlling this, okay? The plan commission will have to, by state statute, it's under Title 36, but it's a 500 series. It talks all about the comprehensive plan. The plan commission can have one or more public hearings, but they absolutely have to have one. Not discounting anything that was said tonight, please don't misunderstand my meeting, but this does not count as a public hearing, okay? This would have to be formal, it has to be advertised, there has to be noticed, everyone would come in. You have a quorum.
You mean this wasn't Robert Rules?
You have a quorum.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So if they want to take a vote, they can take a vote.
No, they can't. So we're gonna move on.
No, he's right, he's right.
No, they cannot take a vote tonight on the plan because this has not been advertised as
It
a
wasn't on
public
the agenda.
notice. Public, where people will come in and will speak. This is also an advisory committee. The advisory committee does not have the final say. When the final product that has come in with everyone's input, they're gonna be making decisions on the advisory plan and look at it, we like this. At some point, most likely, they were going to make a recommendation and it will go to the Board of Commissioners. The 3 Board of Commissioners have the authority to accept the plan, reject the plan, or amend the plan. Now, procedurally wise, if there's a rejection or amendment, there are some technical things about coming back and forth. But the one thing I would like to kind of clarify, the comprehensive plan is not law. It is not a statute, it is not law. It's not enforceable law. It is a plan that is used by primarily the Plan Commission and also the BZA as far as guidance in making a zoning consideration. So if I could just kind of give an example, someone came in and said, I'd like to rezone from agricultural to commercial. There's 5 elements in a different type of statute, and one of those is to give reasonable regard to the comprehensive plan. By Indiana law, a comprehensive plan is required. So for tonight, then here is, I believe, a presentation of where this is at, the input. It would now go to the Plan Commission to make a determination. I'm sure they would want to read it, and then their next step would be to, as far as legally, is to start holding at least one, if not more, public hearings. And then those would be advertised, the public would come in. After they have a public hearing brought in, then they can take their time. They could request another hearing or another meeting, but at some determination, they're going to have to make a decision on sending the plan to the Board of Commissioners. Normal in some different counties, the process takes kind of a year. I believe this is kind of on track for the calendar year, but that is not mandatory by the statute. There's nothing in there that says that you must have this done in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. There does become a point of reasonableness in the contracts that came in. But for tonight, this is an introduction. This is kind of an explanation, I believe. I think there's been probably a lot of input or a lot of questions, but nothing will be decided tonight. In fact, the Plan Commission would make a determination when and if they're ready to have a public hearing. They would give it to the director to advertise and let everyone know.
This gentleman who's here, when you mentioned that this could take a year, if he just mentioned that you are looking at a timeline within the next couple months,
In the fall.
your portion, okay, well, it's July, it's end of July, so we don't have a year. We've just all found out about this recently, most of us today or yesterday.
Okay.
And so what we're saying is, we would need to have, in the time frame that he's still a part of the group, we would still need to have a public meeting. You need to do your refurb of the whole thing, have a public meeting, then refurb again after the public meeting, and then take it to the Board of Commissioners. And that all has to happen in the timeframe that he is.
No.
Okay, so if, okay, real quickly, so if that doesn't take place, in the timeframe that he says, okay, September comes, I've done my part, here's what I propose, I'm out.
Okay.
If we have to go back to him something else, do we then pay him a retainer? How is that developed, and where does he come in?
Ma'am, that's a question that I actually don't know, I'd have to look at the contract, I'd have to look at all those things, I apologize, I really couldn't.
But commissioners have the ability legally to change the
Make
plan.
the change.
So in other words, if he comes up with his final plan,
Sure.
then the commissioners, through the council, can tweak his plan.
They can amend it.
And still keep within his time frame, and, but not have to do it, not have to have a final vote within his time frame.
Understood what I'm saying. Absolutely, that they can make amendments or suggestions or deletions to this plan. They will submit, in essence, what I'm gonna call it's kind of weird, but a preliminary final plan to the three Board of Commissioners. They absolutely could accept it as is, they could reject it, and they could make different amendments.
That was my point,
Yes.
exactly. In other words, you can still have both worlds here. He can finish his work within his contract time, and then the commissioners is in their lap.
But I won't leave until the county commissioners have either accepted the plan or whatever. So, there's two things going on. The contract expires with Okra after a year. I believe that's in the fall sometime. That can be extended if we need to. But, the council is absolutely right about, there's no thing beyond that. But I won't leave, working on my plan till we get somewhere that at least the planning commission accepts and the county as well. But I also can't make the county accept it, so it's a little tricky. But I'm not in this to leave on September 15th. I want to make that absolutely clear. I worked in all kinds for 10 years myself, longer.
Where will the notices be published as?
The notice, which is required by law, would be in the newspaper. It's covered under Code Section 5.
What is?
The local, is it the Spencer World? Is that?
Evening World.
Yeah, that's the requirement, but that's the minimum requirement, is what I'm saying.
The state hasn't caught up with the fact that newspapers are down there.
Right, that's strictly by state statute, and that's a requirement. It must be published in the local county newspaper, and was done by state law. So it's a real.
So, folks, just for
Another meeting and.
for the sake of brevity, what I'd like to do is I'll get with Suzanne, with these addresses that we got tonight, and see if we can arrange some way to mail something out and set up another meeting that we can get everybody at, so that we can continue to work on this.
You don't have anything for your August meeting?
We don't have anything for August, so.
No.
We had these revisions done by the office.
Can you have it?
I'll summarize. I'm a little mad that I didn't get to present my plan, I gotta tell you that. I hope that you would go and look at the goals of the plan and work backwards. Is this goal what I'm interested in? And then the facts can support or not support it, but the main thing I like, and if just go through this quickly without even me going. There's key goals on all of this, I'll make all this available, keep scrolling down. So, the thing I'm hoping you'll get at is the broadest aspects of what the goals of this plan are. That's what I'm hoping to get, that's what we're gonna get to tonight. The takeaways for me tonight is, I think I heard something about a bigger steering committee meeting, that's understood, I know Marcy's taking some names. Marcy did everything she could to get people out to this thing. If they won't come out, they won't come out. If they come out now, welcome aboard. The second thing I heard is that another look at the farm preservation thing, and by another look, is it the right fit? I can't make the decision right now because I don't really make that decision. I was told to put this one in and we can look at it again. But I understand what you guys are saying about that. And I think that some just clarity of what I meant those are the two big takeaways. And then of course, there's certain information that would go in that would support it. But once again, the important thing for me is the development policy and the goals. And the plan should come from those things. So I would ask that you sort of work backwards to those. And then last thing I say is, I'm not a communist, I'm not even a socialist. I'm here trying to give the plan that I'm hearing that you want, which is preserve our rural community, and in areas where there is growth happening, give us some say on that growth. Let us say what the subdivisions will be. Those are the two main things I try to deliver in this plan.
So you're saying add professional staff, so we're making government bigger.
Subdivisions?
Well, ordinances alone, if growth keeps happening, then you may want to add professional staff. In the meantime, ordinance should take care of some of that.
And increased code enforcement, we have codes now, no money to enforce it. So whatever you find, if there's a violation of us or septic, John Reese goes out, your septic's bad, you have to fix it. Guy says, no, I'm not gonna do it. Guess what? Nothing gets done.
We're in agreement that that's a problem. We're in absolute agreement that that's a
So we're
problem.
gonna have to figure out a funding for enforcement.
Yes.
Other tax maybe?
I'm not. You can pass that, I'd say a cake sale.
Oh, yeah, right.
If you go to the very last slide, I'll give you my phone number as well, but then go to the very last slide. It's a bunch, keep going. This is my home.
Yeah, it's like 15 chapters.
You got a lot of goals.
18?
There we go. What's next? Well, we can talk about what's next. My name's Scott Bergens, here's my email, and hell yeah, let me put Rachel in there. She's working on this too. Let's get her to come up. She's working on the mapping and the engineering component of it. In the meantime, back to work tomorrow on these main things you said. I hope to get your comments, Commissioner, so I can start following up on some of those things.
Norm, just real quick, and then I'll
Yes,
get off the bat. On the notice and publication, I just kind of want to be clear with the Plan Commission. If you are planning in August to have the actual first public hearing, which could be the first or the last, the plan in its entirety must be available 10 days prior to the meeting. So what I'm saying, if you're having a meeting in August as a discussion, that is different than having your public hearing. So if you are wanting to have your public hearing, I would say most likely the copy of the plan at least needs to be in its entirety at the building department, and it has to be available to the public at least 10 days prior than the meeting for them to come in and look at it and view.
Well, the problem that I see, Jim, we have to follow the law.
Absolutely.
The problem that I have is how do we get this input into the plan that we then bring back and present in that time frame?
Well, what I'm saying to you then, if you are just wanting to have another informational meeting in August, that is not your public hearing.
Right.
Now, again, Commissioner, you'll do whatever you want, but then if by meeting once a month, then you're looking at probably October of being your first public hearing that would happen. If, let us say, just that it's satisfactory to all, you're talking about November would be the earliest that it could probably get to the Board of Commissioners. There's no timeline, there's no deadline, but I'm saying you're probably looking in 30-day increments. It seems to be probably the most reasonable way you want to look at it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, is that doable by, I mean, I don't know that we need to have a torch taken to us and hurry down the road here. This is pretty high stakes, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely want to have at least one more of these type meetings. I'd like to get some people, it almost needs to be the steering committee that gets together, Mars, but bring these people in as well. If we could do that, then we are not tied to the constraints of the time frame for the county, correct? I'm talking about steering committee now, not our.
No, the steering committee is something completely different as far as getting information. My concern is here is with you at the Plan Commission.
Right.
What is the nature of your next meeting? Both are open to the public. I just think it's very important to make the distinction of whether it's an informational meeting or if you are having your first public hearing. Because after you concluded the first public hearing, you absolutely have the authority as the Plan Commission to accept or reject the plan
to send to the commissioners.
I think we have one more of these.
Yeah, because we need,
We need at least one more informational meeting, and we've got nothing for
Okay.
August right now.
If we don't have any applications for August, we.
but we also need
Yes.
more clarification.
Invitation only.
No.
So August
No,
16th is the next
This is a
regular meeting.
The steering committee can, but they can't.
And we would need the document at least by July 8th. I'm sorry, August 5th.
Excuse me?
Can we meet in the courtroom, so we got more
Yes, I'll
space?
make sure that we make arrangements to be in a bigger room.
So we can bring the steering committee in. You said the date that we would have to have the document by
I
was,
said again, August 5th, I would have to
Well,
have.
but not if it's an informational meeting again. Believe me, I have a reason to move this along.
Well,
I'll also say that although this is not an official meeting, I'm officially here and officially taking your statement. So I don't want anyone to sit around and say it wasn't an official meeting, so I wasted my time.
So are
Your
you
time
gonna-
was not wasted here.
Are you gonna reclassify some of the stuff that we was confused on that wasn't very clear that was brought up?
Yes,
So you'll have that before we have our next meeting?
yes.
I'm good.
so let's plan another informational meeting for August.
Okay.
Mars, if there's any way we can get the steering committee and this group together before then, just to hash out a few things that we can then get to Scott, we're going to have to do that before August the 5th, right?
I can tell you now, just how people are with summer vacations. But is August 5th the real, when is your meeting actually?
16th.
The 16th, so I don't, she doesn't, we can send up news of the update of the draft, but I don't need to formally file it by the 5th.
Well, but they would still need the document to review before the meeting.
Right.
That's why that's what happened with
That's
this
why I
meeting.
asked, because we're gonna have to have a new email with the paperwork that's gonna be
So that
current.
they can review the document before coming back here and having any questions they may have. But I would have to notify
Yes.
the newspaper by the,
The what?
to get into the newspaper by August 3rd. To be able to get another meeting set
Well,
up.
that's not giving much time.
Is that true? Does she have to get a notice, for us to have an informational meeting like we did today, does she have to legally notice it by August 3rd?
The problem is the execution deadlines of the paper. They have said, and so this isn't, we can, none of the government agencies can no longer call the paper the night before and say, put it in. They have just said, you must meet these deadlines. I believe it's about 10 days or 2 weeks.
Actually, next Monday, between Monday and Wednesday of next week, I have to have it to the newspaper for them to publish it on the 3rd.
Well,
And keeping in mind that when you publish that many of the rural community people, even though it's a Wednesday paper, they live out in the areas you're talking about. We don't get
Well,
it
see,
the
that
following
is actually
Monday, so-
10 days, that's actually prior to the 10-day notice.
Exactly, right.
So that's why it's set on that day, yes, yes.
And you have everyone's addresses that wanted to be contacted.
Right, I have all this information.
well, I can tell you what we're gonna do now, next Monday, or whenever, or 10 minutes from now, whenever this next deadline is I can make some of the basic changes. Also, I think some more explanation is in order, and I can probably do some sort of research. But I can't promise you that, that in terms of getting more, meeting with people and stuff like that, that much of that can happen between now and, when was it, Susan, next Wednesday or something? It's closing in on me.
Yeah.
Sure this is,
And it won't be perfect, and you might as well expect after the next meeting, you're gonna have more changes. So I don't know that you have to have it all wrapped up with a
Yeah,
nice bow.
I think what we need is to see some changes, to see some of the things addressed tonight. And then we'll have another informational meeting and we'll hash out what we didn't get changed or what we see needs to be changed further.
What I could do is try and get a document together showing the changes in the document. Frankly, there's no way to throw out this 170-page document. That would be foolish. It would be a good use of your time. The base amount of information is there, even though more information. If you want more than 170 pages, I can provide that.
What has to change to stay within the state law? Well, I mean, that's one way to look. What has to change in the comprehensive plan what has to be updated to keep the comprehensive plan within law?
Oh, I can add, I'll step in on that. So there's only three things a comprehensive plan has to have. So, that is not about anything about content. You have to have a statement of objectives for the future development. You have a statement of policy for land use development for the jurisdiction, and a statement of policy for the development of the public ways, public places, public lands.
At least for the next
Public
meeting.
structures and public utilities.
So in other words, the old one's still okay?
It's still the comprehensive plan, the one that I believe in 2010 or roughly in that time. That is Owen County's comprehensive plan. There is permissive about 24 other topics that are permissive in the plan, and they're actually highly recommended as far as having a fully developed comprehensive plan. But those are the three that are mandatory to comply with the Indiana statute. You start there, you can expand it out. Again, if I may say, and I always say this, the comprehensive plan, though, it is not law, it is not statutory law, it will not be passed as an ordinance. When and if it is actually passed, it is passed as a resolution. There is a difference. This is an advisory plan for Owen County that there are times this plan commission and this BZA is mandated to give it reasonable regard. It does not mean that the plan commission cannot make their own judgment on what the plan says. But the plan is more of an outline. It cannot mandate things, like it cannot say that no one can farm in Owen County. It cannot mandate like certain things like setbacks. That's your zoning code. It's a big difference. The zoning code is the one that is actual law, and it's the actual one that says 75 feet, 25 feet, those type of things. This is a general overall plan to assist and guide the plan commission, BZA, people in the community as far as helping to make decisions. But those would be it. If you're just gonna have an advisory informational meeting, it's fine, but before there can be the actual vote of yay and nay, gonna have to set it up for a public hearing, would be the final product of it, and it would need to be 10 days before the actual.
That'll be in the fall, or whatever. That'll be late.
So our August meeting will be an informational meeting like tonight.
Yes.
Do we know when it's gonna be yet?
In a larger
16th.
room.
16th, and I'd like to do it out there.
Where's out there?
Out there.
Out in the hall.
Again, hopefully, that, I'll take your individual comments and then that you react to the goals of the plan itself, which I started to cover. That's the main thing I'm interested in. If you have the goals, we can sort of work backwards to support them. If you don't support the goals, then we don't have those goals. But the actual goals, and I think the executive summary chapter spells out each of the 15 categories, which Oprah makes me do, and each of the goals for those. So I think time will spend saying, yeah, these goals are good, or I don't like this goal. That gives me the most information to work on, and not necessarily saying, well, that gives me the most information to work on. If you tell me what your goals are, I can prepare a plan for it.
So if I want the 170-page document that you have, can I email you and ask for it?
No, a couple of reasons on that. One, the main reason is it's a draft, and I've gotten in trouble before for passing out hard copies of drafts and it's getting confused and things like that. So for now, I'm keeping it, in this one format of the electronic.
But it's online right now.
It's online right now.
I can send it to you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and you can get a copy, but it's not a hard copy.
Yeah, I just wanna know, find a place where I can read the 170
Oh,
pages.
yeah. Every glorious page.
I'll be honest, I might have, picked on you a little bit about rural preservation. The whole thing, I read the whole thing. It's not a.
Why the hell didn't you say that earlier? I mean, when I was up here getting roasted.
Well, I had to get my point across. But,
All right.
I mean, it is a business plan for the county. I don't think the whole thing's garbage. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I just think that the agricultural, the farmer side of it needs to be more represented, and for sure.
And I think that's what a lot of people's concern is,
Yeah.
you try to hide things underneath, oh, this sounds great, on top of it, you gotta get under the layers of it and really see what all is there. I think
And
that's where
most of us
people are
all found out like
I know.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so I would say 90% of the people have this red plan. We came under here.
So, folks, we'll have a meeting in August, another informational meeting. I want you to bring your information as he gets this thing changed and augmented. It'll be available online, the changed version, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking make a document showing us suggested changes, so people read it once can then just go and get a guide to the changes.
Well, I would suggest if you come to the next meeting prepared, showing that you've listened, what we've asked for, and show those changes, you're gonna have a whole lot better reception
Yeah.
from the.
I'll hold you to that.
So, quickly, I think we've had our public comment. Does anyone else have anything else before we move on the agenda?
I have one statement. I never saw the original from 2009, 2010. Honestly, I didn't even know it existed. So when I saw your proposed plan, I went, wait a minute, because I saw all of these lines that I didn't even know, those are already in rural preservation, some of that. And I was unaware of that, and I think a lot of people are unaware of that. So my suggestion would be send that map out too. This is what you're currently living under, and we're not, we're not gonna change that. This is what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Because when I looked at it, I thought, oh.
I believe that you and I individually could sit down and have lunch, and I really said what we're trying to do and what this plan stated, that I could win this room, the majority of this room.
If you're buying, I'm gonna love it.
Well, see,
All right, folks, set the date and time, we'll be there.
All right.
Anybody else? Public comments? Anyone? Okay.
Thank you for having
Do
me.
you wanna keep working on it, or how you want me to get me these?
I don't know the answer on the ordinance.
Okay.
And then,
Email, and I will,
is that, well, I mean, if they legally have to tell us that, yes, no? I mean, I know.
The escrow business.
Hey, Scott, escrow account discussion.
Oh, no, that was me. Yeah, but we're not gonna talk about it. I already got that.
So, plan commission, does anybody have anything else?
Well, there is one thing I do wanna talk to you guys about, is, BCH. The one that was, Mr. Reuter was asking for that multifamily. He has since pulled his.
Oh, that's the one that had the 7.
Yeah.
I figured he would.
Yeah, the big Pete house, he pulled his application, they're not gonna do it now.
Yeah, I figured.
They're just gonna turn the house back into a one single family house.
A lot of kids.
Alright,
So that's it.
to adjourn,
So moved.
made by Don, second by, Suzanne pulled it.
I got a question for you. You ever been to Sevierville in Gatlinburg, Tennessee?
Guess what? I was in Harriman, so I've been down